kind of odd doing this one-handed and talking and videotaping. I'm going to just unscrew the screws from the air filter. Nothing much to it. 2 Phillips heads. I was thinking of painting this air filter to look like the Punisher skull. It already has the shape, but I haven't really messed with anything cosmetic on this guy yet. And all this stuff can be done at home, or if you're not comfortable or mechanically inclined, just takes a little bit of practice and talking to people. This here's your choke. Okay, so this allows your air to go in and out. See? And this is something I can't remember what's open and what's closed. Obviously this is closed, but I'm not sure how the bike should be running, if it should be closed off or it should be opened up. I run it open now because if I close it off it dies out. I'm thinking I might need to lean out my oil fuel mix a little bit. I'm not sure. I haven't even fiddled with it. I need to get with some people and see if they've messed with the jet on their carburator, see if they had to drill out some pieces of it. I won't go into that detail. If you notice, this guy here has been cut right there. That's not my doing. That might be part of my problem, actually. I'm not sure. Could cause an air leak, make it run too lean. I don't know. But in any case, the previous owner cut this back piece off of this carburetor so he can get it fit on his frame. So there's other ways. There's probably some better ways to do that. Whatever. He thought it was the best idea. Be back in a sec. And I'll take the float bowl off. Alright gang, it's float bowl time. Got 2 screws. One right here and one caddy corner to it. Right there. Pop those guys off, your float bowl will come out. Let me get my screw head set up. My bit. Alright. So basic hand tools, really. I mean, you could probably make a kit out of some very, very basic tools and buy a little tool bag from somewhere and strap it to your frame just in case you ever have problems on the road. A link the chain with a master link. Just some basic wrenches, maybe a couple of crescent wrenches so you don't have to carry a ton of other wrenches. Crescent wrenches, they have their purposes. I don't highly recommend them for consistent use. I only use them for when I absolutely have no other choice. The reason why is because if you don't have it adjusted correctly, you can end up rounding off the head of the bolt that you're using or the nut, and you got other problems there. So you'll just end up with vice grips and a hammer. Okay, so I got the things out, and ta-da! There's my float bowl. Inside the float bowl, you see is a plastic piece. There's a gasket here that prevents leaks. The plastic piece is the actual float. So what happens when the fuel comes in, it rises up, and just like in the back of a toilet, if you ever notice, for some reason you took one out, but it raises up and it shuts off a valve, and I'll show you where the valve's at. The valve is right here. So this is the lever for the float, and when the float rises it does this. Okay, well, back off in there you see that little piece that's connected to the float lever. Okay, so that's the shut-off valve for the fuel line. So when the float rises, it goes up, shuts off the fuel line. That prevents the gasoline from overfilling the float bowl and causing a leak and causing the bike to choke out. This here's your, I believe this is the main jet. It's got a really thin hole. This thing works under, I guess, a rough vacuum of sorts. That's why you don't want air leaks in your carburetor. It causes major difficulties. Yesterday I was flooding out, which means I was getting too much fuel in the float bowl and it wasn't bringing it into the manifold quick enough, so it was overfilling. Right? So what I had to do was I had to take this lever, and I took some needle nose pliers, and then I bent it. let me show you where I bent it. Initially, when I had an issue with the float, I bent these prongs down. You don't want to do that. What you wanted to do is take some needle nose pliers and bend right here where my finger's at, and I'll demonstrate. So you just go in here like this, get a nice decent grip on it, and you just push down. And by doing that, that lowers this lever, which means the float will shut off the valve sooner with less fuel in the bowl, okay? And that prevents the flooding, which is what I did. And after I got that straightened out, it worked just fine, so there wasn't much of a problem. So I'm going to set this down for a minute. I want to talk about the needle on the slide, and there's a couple of things in there I need to talk to y'all about. Hang on real quick. Oh, also, that pin, it tends to fall out sometimes, especially on mine. So always make sure that pin goes in correctly. And even if it's lopsided and crooked, don't sweat it. You can't close the thing off when you can't put it back together correctly if you don't have it in there right. This needle is pretty easy to come apart. What I do is I push the spring in with one hand. Oh, whoa. I push the spring in with one hand. Right? I hold it. I pull the nipple out of the side, and then I let it come out, and it's all sitting right there. The spring just fell. Don't sweat it. I got it. So I'm having some problems here, because looky. This guy's bent real bad. I don't know how I bent it. I must have put it in crooked. So that's something you have to watch out for. You have to be careful, because little parts like this can cause a major problem when you're trying to operate these guys, okay? So I'm going to get some pliers, I'm going to smush it back out, and hopefully I can flatten it out enough in order to get it working correctly.